Hello. Welcome to another edition of Golf at the Park, Angel Park Golf Club's weekly interview show. My name is Jed Francis, and this week our guest will be Alan Blake, our head golf professional. We'll introduce Alan in just a second. Wanted to let you know that there are multiple competitive golf leagues here in town that are really great, and one of them is the Grint Tour, which had their first event of the year here Saturday, and it went great. So thanks for coming out, Grint Tour. We wanted to congratulate the champions of each flight. So that is Daniel Morales, Joshua Carlos, Jesse Mangano, Kyle Peters, and Will Reeves. So congratulations to you guys for being the champion of your flight, and we'll see you the next time you guys stop back here in a few months. So on that note, why don't we introduce Alan? Alan is our head golf professional. Thanks for stopping by, Alan.
Thanks for having me, Jed.
And we'll get a little bit into the workings of the golf course later. But what we really want to do is start from the beginning, because your golf story kind of goes around the globe. So I'm really excited about this interview. Why don't you just start at the beginning and let us know how you were introduced to the game and how you fell in love with it.
Okay. So I was born and raised in Saudi Arabia. My father worked there for 27 years. He's originally from Utah. My mother's from the Philippines. And so, I was born in Saudi Arabia. He introduced me to golf while he was there. There wasn't much to do, so they had to kind of find things for these guys to do. So they built golf courses everywhere that there was a American compound. So they had this golf course, and I promise you, if you put that course anywhere in the world, it would be amazing. The rock formations, everything, right? The layout was great. It just happened to be on dirt. So what they do is you'd have a tee box, which is off of a mat. It was this rubber mat where you could put a tee into. It wasn't grass like AstroTurf like you see nowadays. Just a rubber mat. You could put a tee into it, and then you would have cart pass, and then you get down to the fairway, which was actually black sand. They would take crude oil, they mix it with sand, and lay out the layout with crude oil. They had bunkers, fairway bunkers, and then you get up to the green, and they were called browns. And the browns were a light crude oil mixed with a finer grain of sand, and that was your putting surface. We grew up playing on that my whole life, and you would drive around and carry a little AstroTurf piece, either a circle or a square, and you'd pick up your ball, put it on the mat, and play your shot, and that's how you'd go until you finished on the hole. Another funny thing was you didn't have golf spikes. You had to wear tennis shoes with no soles on them. Otherwise, you damage the putting green because it was just sand, right? And so to keep it in good shape, no spikes, walk lightly, no hard steps or whatever. But putting surface was great. Every time it was good. They had a guy that would brush the greens out, and the ball would roll true, and you'd see your track where the ball would go, and kind of get, I guess, some cheating lines. You could follow the same kind of curvature if you had the same putt for somebody. But just grew up playing golf. My dad introduced me probably when I was 7 years old at the driving range, and all throughout my youth until I went to high school, I would play. We'd go out and play probably every week, and mostly drive around in golf carts, but we'd play golf and kind of mess around, hit balls at the driving range.
So when you were young, you were playing with your dad pretty regularly.
No, so they all had the same days off growing up, and so on the weekends you wouldn't go by. It was all the dads. All the dads would go play. He would take me out late afternoon, go practice or go hit some balls. He'd take me on the course if you wanted to go to get a few holes in. But obviously, while they're all at work and we get out of school, then all the kids we get together. We all I had a few guys that would play with, and we'd take our parents' golf carts, go to the golf course, and kind of play. It was nothing structured, but we would just go out and have fun and play.
Interesting.
I don't know how many holes we'd get in before we lost interest, but
so you're playing fairly regularly, and there's no grass.
No
grass anywhere. That's fascinating to me. And then, how long are you in Saudi Arabia? How do you end up in America?
So we had schooling up until the 9th grade. So after the 9th grade, we went to school in America. I went to school in Colorado for a couple years, and then I went to school in Pennsylvania for a couple years. Colorado was all outdoor sports, skiing, snowboarding. But when I got to Pennsylvania, there was a golf team, or I guess it was just an extracurricular activity. It wasn't really a team. We just during the season we went out and played, and that was my first time I got to play on grass. I think when I got to that school, and I bought a set of McGregors from Sports Authority or something. It was like a $200 set of McGregor, and so I had those out there. But interesting. I've never had to play around trees, and and being berms like that, and had real grass. So it was a lot of fun to learn
That's
on that.
fun, but you weren't playing competitively necessarily.
No, we I was on the lacrosse team in high school because I got introduced to that when I went out east. But that was just a few guys that have played in the past and they just want to do something, so got to play out there.
And lacrosse actually took you into college, not necessarily golf, right?
Well, no, I mean I went to UNLV, but I didn't even know they had a lacrosse team. I just went to UNLV. I didn't play golf. I didn't do anything like that. And then I found out they had a club lacrosse team, so I joined that at UNLV, and then I met a couple guys there that also had played golf in the past, and we got together and started playing around Vegas, and we'd go to the driving range down on the strip, and then we'd play Muni quite a bit, and then also the Sun City courses. But yeah, that's how I kind of got introduced to Vegas golf, was from my teammates in lacrosse.
So all the way through college, you haven't played competitively necessarily.
No,
Wow,
no,
that's
never,
interesting.
never. I've never played competitively. Never played in a tournament either. Like prior to that,
Wow.
never ever thought of it being like a thing I would do. Playing
So
competitively.
you graduate college, then what's next?
So while I was in college, I had I lived nearby Angel Park, so I would come here. I bought an OB sports card because the guys in the shop told me how great of a deal it was. So I would come here and hit balls at night, then go back, study, go back to school the next day. But once I graduated school, I was out searching for jobs, and I had been playing here for a while on and off, and I got to know the guys that worked here, and they had told me that there was a guy that was going to be leaving, and there was a spot open up in the golf shop, and I wasn't having any luck finding jobs, and so I was like, yeah, why not take it? For the part time, just for the meantime until I find something, I'll work there. And
So you started out in the shop, and
third,
now you're the head pro. You've
third,
never had another job in golf?
13 years later, yeah, 13 years later, still here and head golf professional now. So.
That's amazing. One of the things that I wanted to bring up that I was excited to talk about is that I believe that Alan has the best swing at Angel Park. I just love watching you swing a golf club. Why don't you talk a little bit about your practice routine or how you learned how to swing? Go through that.
Yeah. So my dad taught me the basics growing up. Obviously, I could hit, but I played a lot of baseball when I was younger. So it was my swing wasn't traditional. It was leaning back, hitting the ball high, and my grip was a baseball grip. And so when I got better, or as I was starting to get, or I wanted to get better, I started watching YouTube, and I would watch the Konica Minolta Biz Hub. I always had the slow motion videos, the music in the background, and I would watch Tiger Woods, obviously, just to kind of learn, because I have an interlace grip, and so I wanted to learn how his grip was. But growing up, my swing, I always wanted to swing like Ernie Els, the Big Easy. So I'd watch as many videos as I could down the line, face on, and I would just mimic that, try to. And I would I would stand next to a sliding glass door as a mirror, and just kind of, then I'd try to maybe film myself. I didn't have phones back then. I think it was a regular phone. Try to film it, and just as best I could, and then just go out to the driving range and hit. And why wasn't it working? Go back home. So I was grinding a lot when I wanted to get good. I was really working hard at it. And so
The YouTube thing fascinates me because you're probably the first generation to say,
To
I
have that-
learned on YouTube.
to have
right?
that ability, yeah, self-taught technically, but that was because you had a lot of resources.
Right.
Like my first lesson was until like 4 years after I've been working here with Tom Lee. So I was like, hey man, I
Wow.
you just give me a look. And it's different when you actually have a professional go, this is what you're doing wrong, and you're like, what, why couldn't I see that, or why couldn't I think of that? And so go get a professional lesson, because it'll change you.
There you go. And I know that even more than Saudi Arabia, you've played golf all over the world. So do you have any favorite places or any favorite memories about golf?
I mean, Vegas has amazing courses, obviously, but I mean, I've traveled around a bit. Like I got to go overseas, play in Thailand, play in the Philippines. I mean, it's a different kind of golf. It's more for lower money. You can have an upscale experience, right? So, like in Thailand, we had caddies that would carry our clubs, fill our divots, hold an umbrella over your head, and so it was That's cool, just because it's like, wow, I feel so special. But golf is the same anywhere you go, which is really cool. There's the same diameter hole.
Game never
Game never
changes.
changes. You're just in a different location. So, one of my favorite courses ever, the Lookout in Monticello, Utah. So my dad's from Southern Utah. And just to get rid of me for an afternoon, he goes, "Why don't you go play golf?" And so he drove me 30 minutes away to Monticello, Utah, to this little trailer. And I was like, can I play?" Like, "Yeah, sure. Can I hit balls in the range?" "Yeah, go grab some if you want. Go pick them yourself and hit them." But he set me up on this course, and it's probably like the cool in my mind. I don't know if I ever go back, but in my mind, that was the coolest golf course. Deer running across, elevation changes were amazing. But I've heard now that it's like a top 100 like courses you've never heard of. Got to go try it out. Like, so, but yeah, hidden gems.
So there you go. Free
look for hidden
plug to
gems.
Lookout Country Club.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, ain't no country club.
Oh, no?
Lookout Golf Club.
Lookout Golf Club.
Yeah.
Do you have any least favorite things about golf? Do you have bad memories?
Yeah. I mean, bad memories always end up being good stories. Whatever bad memory it is, you always have a good story when you play around a golf. That's
Sure.
what I love. But my least favorite, but also best story was when we played a windy day in the wintertime out at Paiute. I think it was the Wolf. We decided, yeah, let's play the toughest course there is. It was 30-mile-an-hour winds, 50-mile-an-hour gusts. Only time I bled on a golf course. The wind was it was so windy and dry that you couldn't grip, and anytime you close your hand, your skin would crack, and my glove was blood filled. And at the end of the day, we were like, why did we do that? We're such idiots. But ends up being the story you tell for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you have fun. You can say that you played in it.
And you always have the thing where it's like, man, today's horrible. Well, it's not the worst. Let me tell you about the worst time ever.
So you really Kurt Schilling a golf glove? You had the blood bleeding through? That's amazing.
I should have saved it.
I love that. Yeah, that would have been a good picture. What about any kind of practice routine? Do you go out and hit balls anymore?
I kind of started to. I guess when you work at a golf course, you play more than you practice. But my new GM, I've never seen a GM practice as much as Sam does, so it's kind of spurred me along to try it myself. But it's fun, man. You sit there and people are like, want to play? You're like, I really got to go do this, or I got other things in my life going on. You just go out there and hit a few balls, and you're like, now you get that itch. You're like, I gotta go play, man. I'm hitting it good right now. Like, what's then you're always chasing, right? You're always chasing that swing, and so I don't normally, but I want to, and I think I will now more that I've kind of started. So
I've found the longer in your game, it seems like the more you appreciate practicing later. It's fascinating to me. My dad now, he's been in the game for over 60 years. The only thing he really loves to do anymore is go
practice.
To the range. He's by himself and he just gets to hit balls and think about his swing, which, by the way, 60 years in the game, and there's these people, these diehards that are still trying to get one thing right.
Right.
I've never understood that about the game, but that's my speed. Let's talk a little bit about being a head golf professional here at Angel Park and some of our programs. You mentioned the OB Sports Card that you got when you were in college. That's changed now. It's just been called the Vegas card, but we still have the program. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we are now managed by Troon. Troon does have a few courses that are in the Vegas area, I guess. Like if you go out to Laughlin, there is Laughlin Ranch, great track. That's managed by Troon, so you can go out there and get discounts. The Chase out at Coyote Springs, also managed by Troon, which also gives discounts to our members. That's 45 minutes away. Nicholas Design. Amazing course. And then we also have Durango Hills down the street. It's more of a municipal course, but great practice. You got 18 holes, 4 par 4s, rest are all par 3s. Good place to go out and practice. It's less expensive. And then we also recently got Mountain Falls out in Pahrump. And Mountain Falls, if you've never played, is a great golf course. It's you have a little bit of a drive, but it's worth the drive. It's such a good course. And the prices there are much more reasonable than they are in the Vegas Valley, that's for sure. But if you have our card, the Vegas card, you get benefits at those courses. You get to play at discounted greens fees, but it also it's mainly for our course. You get free time on the driving range. You get 2 free walking rounds on our par 3 course. Free on a golf on your birthday. You have 2 tournaments to play in July, 2 tournaments to play in December. Those are also free. We have different formats and different days of the week available. So, and then on top of that, you get discounted greens fees for you and up to 3 guests. So, bang for your buck. It's we think the best deal in town.
Yeah, it really is great. And that's a $159 card for the year. But actually, if you buy it in August every year, we have an early bird time to buy that card within that month. And so, in essence, you get a year and a half. And
Yeah.
it's 109, the early bird
109.
sale.
Yeah, we'll have that in sale again probably in August for 109.
Yeah, so we'll see you all in August for your Vegas cards. Why don't we go into a little bit about the one tier up from there? We have a platinum program as well.
Yeah, so right now we have 45 platinum members. Those are the players that are out here 3+ times a week. The Vegas card's a great deal, but if you're playing more than twice, I guess the math was 2.5 times a week or more. The platinum membership was the better way to go. Unfortunately, it's at capacity right now. Ever since COVID, golf's boomed, and we just can't handle the amount of people that want that opportunity. But unfortunately, we don't have it now, but we do hope that we can restructure it possibly and bring it back so that people that want to play more than, twice, 3 times a week, it can be a little more financially, friendly for you.
Great. I think that actually wraps up our interview portion. So thanks for that. And we're going to go to the second half of our interview, which is we call our par 5. It's the same 5 questions we're going to ask to each of our guests every week. So are you ready to start, Alan?
Do it.
All right, let's go. Question number 1. What is your favorite golf movie?
My favorite golf movie now is The Greatest Game Ever Played. Shia LaBeouf, the Francis Ouimet story.
Yep.
It's Disney, but it's just a good story, right?
And it's a true story.
It's a good story, and it's a true story, right? Yeah. Before I saw it, I had no idea about it, and when I saw it, I'm like, that's an amazing story. Like it was just really cool, and it's cool to see like the history of the balls and stuff like that. But if you were to ask me 10 years ago, it would have been Happy Gilmore, hands down. It's still a great movie. I still enjoy it, but that was probably my favorite movie up until I saw that one.
Yeah, I think it's generational. I've found that if you're a little older, 80s, 90s kid, Caddyshack is your favorite. Then after that, it's all Happy Gilmore. I think Adam Sandler turned a lot of people onto the game, which is really fun, actually. All right, question number 3. What's your dream foursome? So if you could play golf with anyone alive or dead, who 3 would you choose?
So I now have two boys of my own. Obviously, like my dream would be my father, me, and my 2 sons to go out and play. That'd be amazing. But prior to having kids, when I was getting into the game, my dad always talked a lot about Gary Player. He said he'd love to play with Gary Player. And then obviously when I was growing up, I was growing up during the Tiger era, but Ernie Els is who I related to. So prior to that would have been, me and Ernie Els versus my dad and Gary Player. That would have been.
And Els, big, tall guy. That's probably why you were.
I thought I was the same height. He's like 6'4", so he's a little bigger than me. But the way he swings so smooth and carries the ball so far, I was always like, "There's got to be." That's the emulate right there. Looking good. Him, Freddie Boom Boom Couples. Like those guys are always like and Vijay Singh. Like I'm like I want to swing. I want it to look effortless. That's my goal in golf. I don't want to look like I'm trying to kill it.
Freddie's the king of that. Yeah. He's been doing that for a long, long time. Question number 4. Out on the golf course, what's your aiming fluid of choice? What do you like to drink?
Aiming fluid is, I've had a couple of rounds where I'm like, I like this new seltzers. Those are kind of nice, but mostly it's just a light beer. I like Jack Daniels. We do a birdie bottle. Someone gets a birdie in the group, pass the ball around, take a shot at Jack Daniels. That's always fun. But mostly it's just going out there, relax, crack a beer, grab a couple beers and have fun.
Birdie bottle is a great idea.
Yeah.
Shout out to the birdie chain guys. They do the same thing. They hand around a birdie chain for a birdie, and then they all do a shot of Fireball. So that's a good aiming fluid choice. And that brings us to shot number 5. Question number 5 is where our show potentially becomes no longer PG rated. So there's your warning. And for our last question, what's your favorite swear word? What your word do you go to when you really don't like the shot you hit?
It still comes out. You slice one, fuck, 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 that kind of thing. But I don't like it when you're playing with other people and everyone's swearing everywhere. It just changes that atmosphere. I'd rather just go out there and enjoy myself. So I just try not to make it awkward for other people. I always just call myself an idiot nowadays. Oh, good, good shot, idiot. That kind of thing. Um, I I've come to the realization that you don't have the right to be angry or that angry in golf unless you put in the effort. Like, I play with guys that don't get the practice. They have kids and family, and when they swear, I go, "You didn't earn that right to swear right there. You don't. You have no right to be upset that you didn't hit a perfect drive down the middle because I've never seen you practice. Or like,
Right.
you don't put in the effort. You should. If you put in the effort, you're grinding every day and you hit a bad shot, go for it, let it loose. But until then, keep it to yourself. Let's enjoy ourselves and
That's a
have
great
fun.
perspective. I love that. And while you were answering that, I realized we shoot all of these in one take, by the way, to try to give it a relaxed feel. And in our par five, I skipped question number 2.
I didn't realize that. Yeah.
So that's fun. Let's go back and just do it really quick. Question number 2 is, what is your favorite club in your bag? And why?
Yes. Okay. So if I'm going to the driving range, I usually grab 7-iron. Right. That's the thing that everyone's like right in the middle, comfortable club to hit. My favorite club though is the putter. I'm not a great putter, but I tell myself I'm a good putter. But I have a putter collection. Maybe it gives me a right to collect putters. Now I think my favorite club is a putter, but yeah, I think the putter that's the most important club in your bag, and that's my favorite club to hold, look at, use.
That's great. And you mentioned a putter collection?
Yeah, so growing up, I had one putter. It was my dad's hand me down. But once I got into the golf business, every year, Scotty Cameron or whoever released something, I'd be like, "Ooh, I gotta have that." So I'd buy it, and then instead of selling it, I just kept it because I'm like, "What if I want to go back to that at some point?" And then so every year, something new would come out. I had that. I'm now more of a Callaway guy, and then Toulons are coming out, and they're fancy putters, and so I'm trying to
Grab one of those.
try to get a grab one of those and start that collection. And but yeah, my wife, it's in the garage, so it's not in the house at least. But my wife's like, "When's that gonna stop?" And to go with it, I have a head cover collection too, like all the blade head covers. I got like almost 100 of those, but they're on the wall from different courses I've played, and that's my kind of collection.
Do you have a favorite putter then?
Favorite putter is, it's probably the hand-me-down from my dad that has his name engraved on it. That's just sentimental, but I've actually grown up. I putt well with it. It's a little bit longer of a blade. Has a weird neck on it, that 1.5 neck. I'm not a fan of, but like looking down on it, that's what I'm comfortable with. That's what I use the whole time I played golf as a kid. So I use it. I rarely use it just because it's so sentimental. But when I use it, I putt really well with it.
That's great. Well, that covers all of them. So thanks again, Alan, for coming in. Sorry I got one of the questions out of order, but we're still working on the show. And speaking of that, thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Thanks again. Cheers.
Bye.